Between the folds of existence lies the proven ground. Here, concepts are weighed, realities are tested, and cosmic law is forged not in fire, but in the crucible of absolute opposition. Into this void, two forces are summoned. The first is the Unmaking, a sentient hunger that despises substance, the shadow that wishes to consume the light that casts it. The other is the Anchor, the law that states, I am. It is the first and final bastion against nothingness. We call it Taurus. And so begins the first reason the darkness fears the bull, its unyielding will. The void offers oblivion, a gentle release. Taurus does not even acknowledge the offer. It simply is. This is not an act of defiance. It is a state of being. The reality of Taurus is a fundamental truth, and the void's chaos is, to the bull, merely a suggestion. The void's very nature is to unmake, to unravel. But here, it finds a will as absolute as its own, yet entirely opposite. It is an insult made of stone and light. To face this will is to face the concept of finality, a wall that cannot be breached, a law that cannot be rewritten. The first fear is the fear of the absolute. The second reason is more subtle. Its embodiment of physical law. The void is a creature of paradox, of space that bends and time that breaks. It presents Taurus with a landscape of madness, believing that which has no logic cannot be resisted. But Taurus is logic. It is gravity. It is cause and effect. Its very presence is a constant, a law that forces paradox to correct itself. The void's greatest weapon unravels, not from an attack, but from proximity to a greater truth. It is like shouting a lie in the presence of someone who knows the facts. To fight Taurus with chaos is to arm it. Every broken law it mends makes its own truth stronger. The second fear is the fear of being proven wrong. Frustrated, the void attempts a war of attrition. It will starve the bull, cut it off from all light, all cosmic energy. This is the third reason, the power of inevitable growth. The darkness believes that all life must feed on something external. But Taurus is not just life. It is substance itself, and its nature is to expand. It does not need the light of stars. It creates its own. It does not need external fuel. Its will to exist is its own sustenance. The void's prison becomes a womb. Its siege becomes a catalyst for greater strength. The bull does not break the walls, it simply outgrows them. One root becomes 10. 10 become 100. The citadel is not just a fortress anymore. It is becoming a forest of light and stone. The third fear is the most primal. The fear of being consumed, not by a predator, but by the slow, inevitable growth of life itself. The void cannot starve what is eternally fertile. It cannot imprison what is destined to grow. It cannot outwait a patience measured in eons. So the void tries to flee, to ignore the anchor and find a weaker reality to consume. But it cannot, and this is the fourth reason, the gravity of presence. Taurus does not need to give chase. Its very existence has weight. A conceptual mass that anchors not just itself, but everything around it. It is a black hole of substance. The more the void struggles to escape, the more tightly it is bound to the very thing it despises. The fourth fear is the fear of being bound to your enemy, of being defined by their existence. The darkness is now and forever a satellite to the light. The initial probes are complete. The fundamental test of force has failed. The void has learned it cannot break, outwit, starve, or escape the bull. Enraged by this new prison, it gathers its power for a new kind of war, a final, desperate assault of pure chaos. It unleashes a tsunami of unreality, a wave meant to drown the very concept of is, with the infinite horror of is not. The Citadel does not raise a shield. It does not brace for impact. It does something far more profound. It asserts its own reality. The wave of chaos hits the wave of truth, and in the face of absolute substance, the horror of the void is revealed to be what it truly is. Nothing. The void recoils, its ultimate weapon erased in a single, silent pulse. It has learned its first and most important lesson. This is not a wall to be broken, but a truth to be endured. The war of substance is over. Now, a more insidious battle for the soul itself must begin. The physical assault has failed. The void now turns to a more insidious battlefield, the mind. It seeks to prove that reality is a choice. This is the fifth reason, its absolute resistance to illusion. The void conjures a vision of the Citadel's own decay. It shows the bull a future of dust and ruin, believing that the fear of death will break its will. But Taurus does not believe in visions. It believes in substance, in what can be touched, in the undeniable truth of the physical. An illusion of dust has no weight. A phantom of decay has no texture. To the bull, a lie, no matter how convincing, is simply not there. The vision shatters against this profound indifference. The fifth fear is the fear of being ignored, of your greatest trick being met with a complete lack of interest. The Citadel's golden veins pulse once, a silent affirmation of their own existence. The lie has passed, the truth remains. The void tries a deeper poison, not a lie about the future, but the crushing weight of the past. The sixth reason, its immunity to despair. It whispers, all have fallen. All will fall. Your fight is a single, meaningless note in a symphony of universal defeat. But Taurus is not a cosmologist. It is a farmer. Its concern is not for all the fields that have failed, but for the soil beneath its own feet. The projections of sorrow fade, having found no purchase. The sixth fear is the fear of an enemy you cannot make sad, a will that is happy simply to exist. Its purpose is not to save the universe. Its purpose is to be. And in that purpose, it finds a contentment so profound that the sorrows of a billion worlds cannot sour it. The bull does not despair for the past. It is too busy building the present. And so the void unleashes its most terrifying weapon, an attack not on space, but on history itself. The seventh reason, the temporal anchor. It seeks to create a paradox so profound that the Citadel will have never existed, to snuff out its light at the moment of its birth. But the Citadel's presence is not just a fact in time. Its mass, its reality, is so profound it acts as an anchor for time.
The paradox, the vision of its own unmaking, reaches the Citadel and is confronted by the absolute, undeniable fact of its continued existence. The lie of its non-existence breaks against the shore of its being. The seventh fear is the fear of an enemy whose past you cannot rewrite.
Taurus is not a character in history. It is the page on which history is written. Defeated again, the void attempts to poison the very well of the bull's strength, its senses. The eighth reason? Its incorruptible senses. It whispers, the moss on your back is decay. The light in your heart is a fever. The stone you call home is a prison. Hate what you are. But the bull's senses are its truth. It knows the scent of life. It knows the feel of strong stone. It knows the warmth of its own heart. It cannot be lied to about itself. The wave of truth washes over its own form, and the poison of self-hatred finds no purchase. The moss remembers it is life. The light remembers it is warmth. The eighth fear is the fear of an enemy with no self-doubt, an enemy who knows and loves what it is and cannot be convinced otherwise. The Citadel's very existence is an act of self-love, a bulwark against the void's cosmic nihilism. Finally, the void offers its ultimate temptation, not a threat, but a bargain, a prize. This reveals the ninth and perhaps most profound reason, the silent rejection. It whispers, your struggle is endless. Surrender but a single, meaningless pebble from your walls, and this eternal peace can be yours. This is the void's great error. It assumes that the bull desires peace more than it desires integrity, that it would trade a part of itself for comfort. It does not attack the vision. It does not acknowledge the offer. It does not even deign to refuse. It simply remains whole. The ninth fear is the fear of an enemy you cannot bargain with, an integrity so absolute that the very concept of compromise is meaningless to it. The war for the mind is over. The bull's soul is its own. But now, having exhausted all subtlety, the void will remember the power of brute force. Subtlety has failed. Deception has failed. The void, in its fury, returns to a simpler truth: annihilation. It unleashes its children. This is the 10th reason: the power to consecrate ground. These are fragments of its hunger, creatures of pure entropy. Where they touch, reality rots. They swarmed the Citadel, a tide of living death meant to overwhelm and corrode its foundations. But the bull does not need a shield against them. The Citadel itself is a temple to its own existence. Its very ground is sacred. The children of nothingness make contact with the holy ground of being. The result is not a battle, it is a purification. The 10th fear is the fear of sacrilege, the terror of your unholy darkness being effortlessly erased by an enemy's casual holiness. Stymied, the void settles for a siege of ages, believing that even a mountain must eventually crumble. This reveals the 11th reason: a patience that outlasts stars. The void is ancient. It can wait for suns to die. But Taurus is not of that timescale. Its patience is not born of watching, but of being. It is a creature of stone and gravity. What is 1,000,000 years to a mountain? Merely a moment to settle its foundation. The 11th fear is the fear of being outlasted, of your greatest siege being, to your enemy, nothing more than a passing season. This immense patience should never be mistaken for passivity. Provoked beyond its limit, the bull awakens. The 12th reason: the fury of the earth. The void believes it is fighting a fortress. It is about to learn it is fighting a giant. It does not fight with magic or cheap tricks. It fights with the oldest and most honest of weapons, pure, irresistible kinetic force. And it strikes at the heart of the void's power, a blow of calculated, geological rage. The 12th fear is the fear of tangible consequences, the terror of a patient enemy whose anger, once roused, is absolute and physical. The stone fist retracts, folding back into the citadel's form. Its point has been made. The bowl returns to its patient watch. The shattered fragments of the void, now desperate, resort to their fundamental nature, unreality as a weapon. This is the 13th reason, the weaponization of reality. They erase the very laws the bull embodies, creating pockets of nothing where gravity has no meaning and matter cannot exist. But Taurus has a weapon to counter this. It does not need to enter their zones. It simply intensifies its own. It turns its own gravity into a weapon, a force to pull the formless into form, to crush the ethereal into substance. The fragments of shadow are compacted, their chaotic nature crushed under the weight of infinite gravity, until they are reduced to a single, stable, harmless point. The 13th fear is the fear of being made real against your will, of your chaotic freedom being crushed into a state of boring, harmless, singular fact. In its rage, the Citadel's blow was not perfect. A single small shard of its own stone was chipped away in the impact, a tiny wound. The last remnant of the void sees this. Its one chance, a piece of the bull it can corrupt. This reveals two final reasons, the unbreakable resolve. The Citadel does not panic. It does not rush. It simply notes the wound and begins the slow, deliberate process of healing, trusting in its own nature and the inevitable reclamation. A piece of the bull, no matter how distant, is still part of the bull. It can never truly be lost. It can only be recalled. The journey is long. The corruption seems complete, but the root is as patient as the mountain from which it grows. The moment of contact is not a battle. It is a homecoming. The corruption is burned away by the simple truth of belonging. The 14th and 15th fears are intertwined. The fear of an enemy whose will is unbreakable, and the fear that nothing you take from them can ever truly be kept. The war of substance is a failure. Now all that is left is philosophy. Force has failed. Fear has failed. Time has failed. The void, stripped of all its weapons, has only one desperate gambit left: to convince the bull that its very nature is flawed. This is the 16th reason, the love for the imperfect. The void presents a vision of perfection, a citadel with no messy growing moss, no unpredictable veins of gold, just pure, flawless, unchanging crystal. It whispers, your growth is a flaw. Your life is a messy imperfection. Become this. Become perfect. Become eternal. And I will trouble you no more. The void believes that all beings strive for perfection, for an end to the struggle of life. It cannot comprehend an entity that finds its meaning in the struggle. Taurus's response is not a word, not a weapon, but a simple, profound act of living. The 16th fear is the fear of an enemy that does not want perfection, an enemy that loves its flaws, its struggles, and its own beautiful, messy, unending process of becoming. The void tries another path. If the bull will not accept perfection, perhaps it will accept peace. The 17th reason, the choice of burden over peace. It whispers, "You have anchored reality for eons. Your work is done. Let go. Dissolve into the quiet. Be free from the weight of existence." To the void, the ultimate prize is freedom from purpose. It cannot understand that for Taurus, purpose is the prize. The Citadel's response is to increase its own mass, to intensify its own gravity, to become more of what it is. It chooses the burden. The 17th fear is the fear of an enemy who finds meaning in their struggle. An enemy who would rather be a burdened pillar than a free-floating dust mote. Enraged, the void throws a final, hateful truth at the bull, a vision of the end of all things. The 18th reason, the endurance of legacy. It screams, "You will win. You will outlast everything, and your victory will be an eternity of silent, pointless solitude. Your strength is a curse." The Citadel does not deny this future. It accepts it, because its legacy is not in what it will be, but in what it has made possible. As long as it exists, the laws it anchored still have meaning. The memory of the universe is held safe within its stone. Its solitude is not pointless. It is a library. The 18th fear is the fear of an enemy whose victory is meaningful even in eternal solitude. An enemy whose legacy makes your entire existence a footnote. And in this final defeat, the void realizes a horrifying, inescapable truth. The 19th and most devastating reason. The anchor of definition. The void is formless, chaos, nothing. It is defined only by what it is not. And the Citadel is what it is not. To unmake Taurus would be to erase the one thing that gives the void meaning. It would be an act of self-destruction. Its entire war has been a form of cosmic suicide. The 19th fear is the fear that your enemy is your creator, that your war against them is the only thing that makes you real, and that to win is to cease to exist. The battle for philosophy is lost. The void now understands its trap. And so, all that is left is the fear itself. The war is over. Not won, but concluded. The void, trapped by the logic of its own existence, ceases all aggression. It has not been destroyed. It has been understood. The Citadel does not celebrate. It does not gloat. It has proven its point not through dominance, but through being. It returns to its work. The void watches, and in its silent contemplation, the final, true fear begins to coalesce. It has spent eons trying to destroy the bull, but now it understands. It was never fighting a fortress. It was fighting a meaning. And a meaning cannot be killed. This is the final, ultimate reason, the 20th reason from which all others are born, the fear of being defined. The dark forces fear Taurus not because it can destroy them. They fear it because it gives them a name. It gives them a boundary. The shadow is only a shadow because a light casts it. The void is only a void because substance exists to frame it. Taurus forces the darkness to be a thing. And the one thing the darkness cannot bear is to be defined. The war ends, not with a truce, but with a horrifying epiphany. The void can no longer attack, not for lack of power, but for fear of strengthening its own prison bars. And the Citadel? It takes no notice. The greatest philosophical victory in the cosmos is, to the bull, simply a return to the quiet work of existence. The void is now forced to watch. Its orbit is no longer a path, but a cage. And the bars of the cage are the very thing it sought to destroy. It tries to look away, to retreat into its own formless chaos. But it cannot. The idea of the bull is now burned into its core. Its own nature now orbits this internal sun. Its chaos is given order by the memory of the law. Its nothingness is given form by the memory of substance.
This is the true and final torture, not destruction, not pain, but a forced contemplation of the enemy's truth forever.
The proving ground has served its purpose. It has revealed a law more fundamental than physics, that meaning requires a canvas, and chaos is the canvas for order. The Citadel is no longer just a bastion. It is a star, a source of cosmic meaning. And the void is its first and most devoted planet. And now we come to the 20th and most terrible reason of all, the final fear from which there is no escape. The fear of witnessing meaning. The void is condemned not to oblivion, but to sight. Its punishment is to be the eternal, captive audience for the art of its enemy. It must watch life grow. It must watch beauty form. It must watch purpose unfold, and know that its own dark, meaningless existence is the canvas that makes it all possible. This is the final law, the ultimate fear. It is not the fear of death. It is the fear of being the eternal witness to a life you can never understand and meaning you can never share. And that is why, even in the deepest dark, there is a fear of the bull.